So we are going to draw these lips to size. We're not going to include the nose and all that stuff, so you don't need to plan for all that. I'm going to just fold it. But we are going to do the lips and then some of the skin surrounding. So make sure you have enough space on your sketchbook page to include the lips. So we're going to be drawing it this size. And then we will be also including some of the area surrounding. So have enough space for that. All right, so now these lips aren't completely closed, but I always start with either the inner line or the inner shape. So let's start by drawing this little sliver of an opening first. And what you might do is measure, okay, what's the width? And you can make 2 dots. So then you know, okay, that's how wide I'm going to make it. And then you could even measure the height. Now you are going to have to kind of get that in the right spot. But then you know, okay, that's how tall I want to make that little opening. And then draw that shape. Be observant of where is there a curve. Bless you. Where does it angle up? Where does it angle down? Like I would say the outer corners of this person's lips, they kind of angle up just a little tiny bit. And then you might kind of double check, did I get the width pretty accurate? Do I need to make it shorter? Do I need to make it wider? Same thing with that opening. Did you get that the right size? And as you're drawing, make sure you are drawing lightly. Okay, and then next is we're going to determine what's the height of the top lip and the height of the bottom lip. So measure it with your fingers, make a little line at the top to say, okay, this is the height of the top lip. Measure it with your bottom, or measure the bottom lip with your fingers and say, okay, this is where the bottom lip ends. This person's lips are more full. They're not like super thin lips, so make sure you are showing that in your drawing. And once you get the height of those lips, then you can start to draw in the shape. So the dip on that top lip, that is called your Cupid's bow. So like this whole edge here is supposed to be considered like a Cupid's bow, or like a bow and arrow, because it kind of replicates that line. So include that in your drawing. Now some people have a very pronounced Cupid's bow, and some people don't. I would say this person is not a super pronounced Cupid's bow. It doesn't have a very extreme dip down in the middle. The other thing is you don't want to be drawing super hard, like pressing really hard on your pencil, making harsh, dark lines, because the lips are not outlined, right? They're just a solid filled in shape with with value. We don't have, like if the person had lip liner on, then sure, we would be outlining the lips, but there's no heavy outline. So if we made a heavy outline just to draw those lips, it's going to be hard to get rid of that once we start adding value. So we want to really keep those lines light for that reason as well. Okay, so after you've done a outline, I would go back through and really look at the shape and size of everything, because you really want to try to get that as good as you can before you start adding that value, because once you start adding value, it's going to be hard to change anything. You might kind of also draw in those two teeth that we see. The left one doesn't quite go down to the bottom lip. There's a little bit of space between the tooth and the lip. The right one looks like it basically does touch down to that bottom lip. So if you go to draw those teeth and they're looking a little long, that might mean you need to bring up the bottom lip a bit. Or maybe they look too small. Maybe you need to bring down the bottom lip. So try to look at the size of those things compared to each other. Okay, so then we can start adding in our first layer of value. Now I would wait to make the super dark middle part until more towards the end. And you're gonna want to do that with charcoal since it's black, but let's avoid doing that until the end so we don't have to worry about accidentally smearing it. So let's just go in with a good first layer of some grays. Now really everywhere on these lips is a gray value except for some of the little highlight shapes that we see, which we'll just erase those out because they're really small areas. You might kind of try to make the bottom of this bottom lip a little bit darker. And then we are also, once we add value to the lips, we're going to add value to the skin surrounding, because that contrast of value is what's going to make them really look like they are three-dimensional. And we'll also add the detail of the wrinkles after we get all our value laid down. So once you add this value, it should really get rid of any outline that you initially drew of those lips. So if you can still see the outline after you fill these in, that means that you drew it too dark. And you might need to go back in with your eraser and lighten that up. I would say the top lip on that bottom right side is definitely darker. There's a bit of a shadow. So try to reflect that in your drawing. Also, the underside of the top lip is a little bit darker, which is going to kind of make it look more rounded. Okay, so let's blend out that value if you have not already. And I would use a Q-tip just to help you stay within the areas that you want to stay inside of. Try to blend out any pencil streaks. So sometimes you have to change the direction of your blending too, like sometimes go side to side, round and round, up and down. Okay, and then we can start to get some of the value around the lips as well. So actually, I was going to use my Q-tip, but I don't have enough value on that. So I'm going to start using my pencil. Now under the lip, it is a really heavy shadow. So we can go back in with charcoal under there here in a minute. But I just want to add an all over value. We're going to go below and above the lips. Getting that shadow below the bottom lip is what's really going to make it pop and look like it's three-dimensional. Now above the lip, the top lip, their skin is lighter than their lips. So try to make sure when you start adding that value above that it's going to be lighter than that lip. And then I'm going to use a tissue to blend that out just to kind of help make it more overall smooth. So try to get rid of any pencil streaks. You don't want to see any streaks on your drawing. And then you can start looking at, okay, where do I need to darken it? Like I'm going to darken some of my top lip a little bit more in some areas. So really start looking at that image and comparing it to your drawing and looking at where do I need to build up value. The bottom side of that bottom lip also is going to be a little bit darker. And that's going to help it look more rounded. Okay, and then you can also go in with your charcoal and start to darken some of the areas, like especially under the bottom lip, I would say. Again, I would wait to do that black middle part of the lips until towards the end. Maybe even on parts of that top lip, you might go in with a little bit of charcoal. Okay, and then once you feel like you have a good overall value, then you can start to add little details like the wrinkles in the lips. So everybody's lips are going to have wrinkles because when you're smiling, your skin's stretched out, and then when you're not smiling, your skin becomes relaxed and it all comes together. So this person has quite a few, especially more towards the base of that top lip and then more towards the top of the bottom lip. So basically, you kind of want to do the wrinkles the same way you do eyelashes, where you're starting at the base and you kind of curve up. Now, depending on how much pencil you put down, you might find that like maybe you need to use a softer lead pencil to make them show up. But you're going to curve in the direction that the lip is going. So on the left side, the curve goes to the left. On the right side, it goes more to the right. Try to follow the amount of curves that you're seeing. You don't want to go overboard with adding too many. And then after you add them, sometimes you want to kind of blend them out because they're not, super noticeable. So if you feel like yours are really dark and really stand out, you might just need to do a little bit of blending to hide some of them a little bit. And then you'll notice on that bottom lip, some of them have a reflection with them that are also kind of like following that line. So I would add that in as well. Ideally, if you had like the edge of an eraser, you can use that to start erasing out some of those lines. Especially towards the outer, I don't know if my eraser's small enough, but try to get some of those little lines in there. There's definitely more of a reflection also in the center of that bottom lip. And if you feel like you're trying to erase some of those and it's not showing up, it might be that you need to still add more value. You might not have enough value down to even like erase or pick up. And then she does have some reflections on that top lip. Some of them are just like little dots. So you might just kind of try to get out some of those little shapes. And then I would, for those teeth, maybe use a dirty Q-tip. I mean, you could put some value down. They are pretty dark. But those teeth, we're going to want to add some value to. It might be easier if you do it before you do the black, so that once you add that black, you don't have to worry about accidentally smearing it. So try as best as you can to match that value that you're seeing in the image. And then you can start going in with your charcoal. Do you guys see a tooth, a third tooth? Okay, that's what I thought I was seeing that. So you might try to get that in. It is pretty dark. What you might be able to do actually is put in the charcoal and then kind of lighten it in that area where that tooth is. That honestly might be the easiest way to go about doing it. And one thing to note is those teeth are darker than the bottom lip for sure. So you might kind of make sure yours are. Like mine weren't quite dark enough, so I'm going back over them with some pencil. So now I would just keep looking at, okay, where do I need to darken it? Where do I need to lighten it? Do I need to change? Like sometimes I find, oh, I need to make the bottom lip bigger here, or, you know, change the curve of this thing over here. So sometimes when you start adding in the details, it helps you recognize areas that need to be adjusted a little bit. There are quite a few cracks or wrinkles on her bottom lip too, so you might just work on adding a lot of that value, that detail, those lines. Also, there's a highlight at the top of her top lip, so make sure you get that in there. Just a little edge of a reflection.